everyone, my name is Harshita Jain and I'm currently an intern at Lexis & Company. Today I'm going to talk about the doctrine of eclipse. It is a doctrinal principle that advocates the concept of fundamental rights being prospective. If any law made by the legislature is inconsistent with Part 3 of the Constitution, then that law is invalid and inoperative to the extent of it being overshadowed by the fundamental rights. The laws are hidden by the relevant fundamental rights, and the eclipse is said to be cast on it. The inconsistency of the eclipse law can be removed only when the corresponding fundamental right is amended. The shadowing is then removed and the law becomes automatically valid and operative again. So in other words, we can say that a law that violates the fundamental rights remain in a moribund condition. It becomes inoperative, unenforceable, and takes the shape of a sleeping provision. It is not a nullity or void ab initio. Now I'm going to discuss about this evolution of the doctrine of eclipse. Uh, the development of this eclipse basically took in three stages. First is the we can say prospective or retrospective nature of Article 13 subclause 1. The case of Keshavan had raised several challenging issues concerning the doctrine. In response is the retrospective and prospective nature of Article 13.1 and the meaning of the word void in Article 13.1. In the landmark incident of Keshavan Madhava Menon versus State of Bombay, the petitioner was prosecuted under the Indian Press Emergency Powers Act of 1931 for publishing a pamphlet without permission. The case was pending when the Constitution of India had commenced. The main issue raised was if the provision of the Act violated Article 19 subclause 1A. The court held the relevant regulations to be violating Article 19 subclause 1A and that they are void to the extent its inconsistency. The court further held that the fundamental rights are prima facie prospective in nature and that the word void did not mean repealing the statute or provisions. Now the second stage is the nexus between Article 13.1 and pre-constitutional laws, which were seen in the case of FN Balsara and Behram versus FN Balsara and Behram. Behram Khurshid Pisikaka versus the State of Bombay was one of the earliest cases that explained the reasonable nexus between Section 13.1 and the pre-constitutional laws. In this case, the appellant was accused under Section 66B of the Bombay Prohibition Act of 1949. Previously, Section 13B of the same Act was declared void in the case of FN Balsara because it was violative of Article 19(1)(f). The appellant took the example of FN Balsara as a precedent. Then Section 66B was held inoperative and unenforceable. The court said that the part of the law would be unconstitutional and not the whole law. Further held that the onus to prove citizenship and violative nature of the provision lies on the accused. Now the third stage was the genesis and evolution of the doctrine of eclipse. The concept, principle and the applicability of this doctrine were polished in the case of Bikaji Narayan Thakras versus the State of Madhya Pradesh. In this case, the CP and Birar Motor Vehicles Amendment Act of 1947, which had authorized the state government to regulate and take up all the motor transport business, was challenged because it was violative of Article 19(1)(g) of Part 3 of the Constitution. This Amendment Act was a pre-constitutional law and therefore the doctrine of eclipse applied and the provisions of this legislative act were made inoperative. Soon in the year 1951, Article 191G was amended by the first Constitutional Amendment Act, overturning the eclipse and making the law enforceable against citizens as well as non-citizens. The Supreme Court opined that the effect of the amendment was to remove the shadow and to make the impunged act free from all blemishes or infirmities. The court also observed that it will be enforceable against non-citizens. If there are any questions, any doubts, do mention them in the comment box. So now I'm going to discuss the salient features of this doctrine. Um First is the applicability to pre-constitutional laws. For the doctrine to apply, the law must be valid at its inception and thus can be invoked only in the cases of pre-constitutional laws that have become operational with the adoption of the Indian Constitution on 26th January 1950. Second is the non-applicability to post-constitutional laws. They cannot apply to post-constitutional laws because they are invalid at their inception and thus they cannot be validated by any subsequent amendment. But there are certain exceptions to the same, like non-citizens cannot take advantages of the voidness as the violation does not affect them. Third is the conflict with the fundamental rights. The past law is supposed to be violating a fundamental right, only then it can be overshadowed and be termed as inoperative. Now, what is inoperative? The doctrine is based on the principle that the law which violates the fundamental right is not nullity or void ab initio, but only becomes defective and unenforceable. The law is overshadowed and hidden by the fundamental right that it violates. So the law is not dead, but it is only in the sleeping phase. Now, and our next salient feature is the fundamental right in amendment. If there is an amendment to the relevant fundamental right in future, it will automatically make the impunged law operative. Now, whether the doctrine will apply to post-constitutional laws has always been an engendered acrimonious debates among jurists and juries. The lawmakers and researchers have been, prayerful for a final pivotal judicial adjudication and clarify upon the doctrine and on the word void here. Will the American impression of relatively void be applied in India? Is there any difference between unlawfulness and lawfulness? Questions like these are yet to be clarified by the court of law. However, it should be noted that the main objective behind the doctrine is to avoid any administrative and legislative hassle. It safeguards the pre-constitutional laws and helps revive it automatically. It prevents the wastage of time and resources necessarily incurred in, reenacting. In India, the doctrine of eclipse is one such theory that is, said to safeguard the pre-constitutional laws from being completely wiped out. It gives a very refined, nuanced aspect of the rule of law. Theorists also believe that if there were, no doctrine of eclipse, then the constitutionalism would have been compromised somehow. This theory has also helped break the thin line between the pre-constitutional laws and the post-constitutional laws. Now, it is a tool to harmonize the, central dictates of the Indian Constitution. If there are any questions, any doubts, anything, feel free to mention them in the comment box. Thank you for watching.